Okay, I've been piddling around this video for a while now, but let's go. Okay, so this is no video about the sad sack story of my life or even yours. This is examples of the reasons as to why things happen and the way they happen. So I grew up, moved out of home when I was 15. Mum was a heavy drug user. Okay, happens to many. It was just myself and my brother, and we grew up with very little food, very little money, you know, the same story. Everyone's got a story, very similar. But I always remember being like, sorry, that's my dog. I always remember being about, interruption, kids and dogs, very normal. So anyway, I grew up thinking, I don't feel like other people. I'm fascinated watching, and always felt like I was watching from the outside. So I'd see other families with the mum and the dad and the kids, and I'd just stare. And I would think, this is so unusual to me, because I felt like I was on the outside looking in. And I always felt my entire life there was something bigger that was pushing me towards. And even now, I'm just trying to work that out. So yeah, moved out, lived with my grandma till I was about 18. Then ended up moving in with a boyfriend, which was a bloody terrible idea because he was abusive. But again, what did I attract? So a lot of people have a mentality that, well, it happened to me and this happened to me and it's all external, when the actual fact is you are what you attract, right? So I needed that, what felt like protection from a shit boyfriend, and you know, he provided food and housing, and you know, I attracted that. I brought that into my life, and I'm going to give you a bit of an example now. All right, so I know you can see me in the mirror, obviously, and this is, you know, mirror in the hallway. But what you need to understand is that the way the universe works is whatever you project out comes back to you, right? So if you're got, you know, good vibes and you're happy and you're content in yourself, the universe will throw those things back to you. But being a 15-year-old, you know, neglected child, what I threw out to the universe was, I need survival. I need food, shelter, and protection. And that's exactly what the universe brought back to me. So after living with my grandma for quite a few years, like I said, I then moved out with the boyfriend, which was the worst mistake of my life. But that ended up ending, and I ended up going to uni, getting a law degree, because it was literally mind over matter. I'm not going to let this get to me. I want to be more than where I've come from. Got a good job. But then after time went by, I was just like, none of this is fulfilling. None of this makes me feel whole. None of this, I felt like I was an outsider still, like I did when I was 15, looking in to everybody else playing a role in life. And I didn't understand why I felt that way. And even sometimes now I know why I felt that way, because I was not going to be living in that 9 to 5, work your ass off, you know, and then consume, because you're so miserable, because you've got no time for anything else, that you grasp on anything to make that couple of minutes feel, you know, better, but it doesn't work. So one of the things that I've realized, even in just the last 12 months, I've quit my job. I've started this. This is basically a test, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that there's a lot of words that are used on the internet about growing and love and light, but I just didn't really understand what anyone was talking about. I knew what I felt. I knew how I felt inside. I knew I was different to everybody else, but I didn't really understand the jargon. So I'm trying to simplify this into, okay, I've got a feeling I'm not like everybody else. I know there's something I should be doing. I think now I know. And if you don't know, that's fine. It just means you haven't aligned with it yet. And what it means by aligned with it yet is, last year I was working full time. I'm a single mum, and I was working full time, and the system made it so that I had not 1 minute to spare to pursue anything outside of that 9 to 5 matrix, right? So there's no way I was going to pick up a camera and make a video. There was no way I was going to start my own business because I was so trapped and exhausted that I could only think about survival. Get dinner on the table, get the kids bathed, go to bed. And not everyone can remove such a big chunk like work out of the way. I saved for a year, and this year is just about trying all the things I feel drawn to do. And it'll work because what I'm putting out to the universe, like going back to the mirror, is I am deserving. And for a long time, that's a key. I didn't think I was deserving. For a very long time, I didn't think I was. One of the biggest things that I've learned, and it kind of only happened at Christmas time, 25, was I always thought, oh no, I've got enough. I've got a roof over my head. My kids are healthy. And yeah, all that's true. But I woke up one day and literally went, I deserve what other people have. But I believed it. It wasn't just manifesting my dreams, like I want to draw in more money, but no meaning behind it. More money for what? What is it that is you want that money for? Yeah. So a big change for me was that I actually deserve it. I deserve to have the change that's coming. And one thing I realized from being the daughter of a very heavy drug addict is that I was always searching for someone to protect me. I was always searching for safety somewhere, and that always kept me in survival mode. And once you realize that you can actually save yourself, and what that means is especially people who have been through trauma with like parents and stuff, you learn to self-soothe, you learn to protect yourself, and you learn to be your own safety. But that doesn't almost happen very young, because when you're young, you're still searching outside of yourself. But you have to realize it's actually inside you that you can create, and then therefore you don't need it from anybody else. It's once you're relying on somebody else, which I've done in many relationships, that you completely lose control, because then your happiness and your fulfillment and your day is running based on validation from somebody else. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself, because the second you don't need to be validated by somebody and you can sit on your own, you can self-soothe, you can cry if you need to and then process it, is the second that everything changes. There's my cat in the background. This thing's growls. So I have many hundreds of stories, and my life goes a hell of a lot deeper than just a drug addict parent. But that's something I sort of want to work towards, and I'll get there, because I just think that by talking about what's happened to you can help others. And it's not just about the story. The story, everyone's got a story. If you walk down the street and asked every single person and interviewed them all, they'd all have some horrific story. It's not about that. It's about how did you get through it? What did you have to do to get through it? And what keeps you strong today and standing upright? But I think the biggest thing is, no matter where you are in the stage of life, whether you're awakening, whether you're still find yourself in a daze, or whether you're completely asleep and have no idea what I'm talking about right now, that's all fine, because you're right where you're supposed to be. So if you want to sort of follow me and comment and tell me about your life experiences and how you got through them and what type of things that you did to, fulfill those moments where you knew you had to look inwards, comment down below, subscribe, because I'm kind of standing here today with something that's pushing me to do this, and whether it works, it's all whether it's in alignment or not with me. All right, guys, thanks for listening to my rabble on. See ya.